All right, so we are recording. Here we go. I'm going to share the screen. Thank you for coming to this webinar where I'm going to teach you how to declutter your entire house without any overwhelm. And I'm telling you, it really can be done, okay? Now, my name is Kathy Roberts, and I am known as the Tidy Tutor, and I would love for you to connect with me on Facebook. So if you go to facebook.com/tidytutor, I have that right there. I can put it in the chat. If you go there, you could private message me, and I would just like to say hello, all right? And I'd like to just get to know you more because this is very one-sided, and that could be a way that we can kind of connect a little bit better. The next thing I want to talk about is if you're in the right place, okay? You're in the right place if your home feels out of control and you are overwhelmed by all of the clutter and everything that has to get done. You're in the right place if you feel like there is never enough time in the day and you're always playing catch up but never actually catching up. You're in the right place if you are ready to live in a home that looks and feels wonderful, that doesn't require you to be working on it all the time. A home that you're proud of without feeling like you're a slave to it. Now, I want to ask you to take a minute to see if you're not in the right place, okay? If housework doesn't stress you out, if your home is not overcluttered, if you kind of judge those who live in a messy home and you just want to be able to like get your house even more organized than it is now, you're probably not in the right place. The only reason I would say if that's you to stick around is just because you might really kind of learn something about the people that are in your life that are more right-brained than left-brained. We'll get into that a little bit more because I know that organized people find it very difficult to understand us organizationally challenged people. So if you're still here, then we're going to say that you made the cut. All right. Welcome to A New Way Through. Thank you for being here. We're going to get started right away. I'm going to let you know what you're going to learn. You're going to learn how to declutter spaces that are jam-packed with sentimental keepsakes without spending a lot of time to get it done or agonizing over what to keep and what to toss. You're going to learn the #1 strategy that you need to eliminate distraction while decluttering to stay on track and have it so that when you're done, you will not have more of a mess than when you got started. You're going to learn the 3 biggest mistakes that people make when they try to get their home organized and clutter-free. You're going to learn there is nothing wrong with you. You don't need fixing. You just need to have the right plan and the right tools that work for you, for who you are to get the job done. And then the last thing is kind of like a secret. It's the secret that we need to know to how to get through papers and things that clog up the debunking process when we begin. Okay? Now I got to let you know about something. I'm giving you a stay at the end bribe. Now, the reason I'm doing this is because when I'm done with showing you this, you will definitely leave with everything that you came for. You'll have practical application to how to do exactly that I'm teaching you. There is no like, oh, but stay till the end so that you can purchase this. That's not what I'm doing at all. But what I am doing is, if you are somebody that needs more help, I want to show you how I could help you more. So I want you to stick around to find out about that because I have a program that I teach that is pretty amazing. So I want you to stay till the end so you could find out about that. So I'm bribing you with this little mini course called Deer in Headlights. It's really a very cool course. It's what I use when I'm in a situation where I have a lot to do. I'm not talking about housework here, okay? I'm talking about like when you have a lot of things to do, like maybe you have a party that you're planning and you have, like in this case, when I first did it, I moved into my house. I had a lot of unpacking to do. I had a lot of cleaning in that house to do because the people that left it a mess. I had a book that I was writing and I had an editor that I needed to have a deadline. I had to have things to her. And I also was teaching Tutor University live in front of people in night schools. So I had all of these things to juggle. And you know how it gets when you have a whole bunch of stuff that you've got to do and you kind of freeze? Well, like a deer in headlights, right? So what I did was I said, how do I do this? How do I get through this? Because I was frozen and I figured out a way. And then once I did it and it worked so beautifully, I made it into a little mini course. And so that's what you will be getting, okay? If you stay to the end, all right? And so I'm hoping that is something that you're going to like. And if you are going to like this thing, you'll get it as soon as this is over. Okay. One little thing I'd like you to know about me is that what I do, I consider like a ministry. I feel like this is way more than just, hey, you got this business where you help people get organized. I feel like really it's a calling. And I have a mission. My mission is to help people to see organizationally challenged people as amazing, wonderful people, not like the word slob, not like a lazy, non-motivated, like there's so many negative connotations that are attached to people who are organizationally challenged. And we really are the movers and shakers of the world. There's nothing wrong with us. And so that's part of my mission, okay? I want to let people, just like that you really do have all that it takes, and all of the negatives that we think about us can really be kicked to the curb. It's kind of like saying to your daughter or to yourself, I am so bad at everything because I just can't play the piano. I've been wanting to play the piano my whole life. I sit down on the piano, I can't play it. I mean, everybody knows that. You're not going to just play the piano because you sat in it. You have to learn how. Learning how to play an instrument is a learned skill. Learning how to keep the house clean, how to keep it organized and run efficiently, that's a learned skill too. There's lots of people that do it naturally, but I'm telling you what, most people don't. And the only reason we don't know that is because of this negative connotation that is attached to it, so nobody admits it. And we live behind our front door like a complete mess, but outside we give this persona like we've got it all together. There's a lot of us, okay? There's a lot of us. So another thing that my ministry is that you really can live an organized life, and that I've been doing this for over 30 years now. So professionally, I've been doing this about 10 years. But non-professionally, I've been doing this about 30 years. So I've really got a lot to offer, and I just wanted to make sure you knew that. Now, this is something that I'd like to talk about for a second, and I think it's important that you know this. I want you to know where I come from, because I think it's important to know why someone like me can help someone like you. Anybody that was ever had any problems with an addiction knows that only an alcoholic can help another alcoholic, and only a slob can help another slob. So I want to let you know kind of like where I come from, okay? I started out my domestic journey like nutsy from Lady and the Tramp. I was completely clueless. I was completely unaware of what it actually took to run a household. I had dreams of a life I could create. Did you ever have dreams like that too? Like when you first started out in the road to setting up house, did you think, oh my goodness, this is going to be just wonderful? Like I wanted a peaceful place, a safe place, a place where I could sit down and get recharged, a place where I could have family come over, and I could have maybe even Bible study at my house and that kind of thing. But guess what? It never happened. It's actually pretty funny. I really sincerely was nutsy. All right. So this is what I did. Okay. I jumped in with both feet with my big plans and my dreamy expectations. I pictured myself hosting Thanksgiving, baking pies and cookies. I thought my house would just be overly brimming with the smell of what Martha Stewart would call, one of the cool places to live. We'd have friends and family over. Like I said, we would host, maybe a Bible study. I really thought that I would see my children look up at me and be like, Mom, you're amazing. But what really happened was very different. In the beginning, we had no children. It was fun at first. It didn't last long though. Everything became more difficult to keep up with. I couldn't do what I thought should have been very easy. I did everything with a frantic hustle. I was spinning my wheels. I mean, really, can you relate to that? Can anybody relate to this? And I know, like if you've never had a baby or if you're a man, still, you get the picture, right? I lived my life spinning my wheels. I did what I called a lot of nothing all day, because I was really working hard all day, but you didn't see that. It was ridiculous. Everyone in my life had a clean home. Everything I'd seen on TV showed me what was normal, but for everybody else, it really looked completely effortless. For me, it was not effortless. It started gradually. I had good days and I had bad days. When the kids came, it got worse. My husband and I argued all the time, and I was expected to do it all. Women in my generation was expected to do it all, but even today, women are still kind of like the ones that are responsible for home. I didn't know how to be the manager of it. I didn't know how to break anything down. I didn't know I could delegate. I was ashamed to admit that I didn't have it together. So I pretended like everything was okay, and nobody really saw the big mess that I was in, because just like you, I know how to clean up for company. Don't open the bedroom. Don't open the refrigerator. No, I don't need any help. You know, if you have 2 bathrooms, that one's out of order. We know how to juggle things, right? So let's see, where am I? I was exhausted. I was frazzled. I was overwhelmed. I missed appointments all the time. I was a professional excuse maker. I was always late for everything, which of course really affected my family. After a while, I stopped taking care of myself altogether. I was miserable. I felt alone. I felt out of control. And I wanted to know, how did others do it? I felt like I was tricked. What did I sign up for? I was a total failure. That's the way I felt anyway. In reality, it's not a failure, holy mackerel. But it really is a very, very, very devastating way to live. So this isn't actual footage of my overwhelmed days. I would just go to bed with a pint of Haagen-Dazs and a spoon. Piles of wrinkled clothes would be on the bed with dinner still in the kitchen that we had just eaten. All the food would just dry on the table, and I'd wake up to it in the morning. The clothes that I took off before I went to bed just landed right next to me. I just throw on a raggedy old t-shirt. There was no bedtime routine. Mess was everywhere because I just couldn't face it all. So what did I do? I would retreat to the bedroom with a VCR tape. Yes, I am dating myself. And a pint of ice cream. And I shut the lights off and I watched movies in the dark. And I figured, tomorrow's another day, because I didn't know what to do. So I stopped trying. I quit. Things began to snowball as time went by. Laundry piled up. Dishes weren't cleaned until I needed them. I didn't get dressed until I was going out. The house got cleaned only when I was having company over. Even that was done with what I call a frantic stash and dash. I would think that I could get it all done because us organizationally challenged people, we have a warped perception of time. But eventually I had to just start shoving things, and my bedroom became like the catch-all for everything. I shoved stuff under the couch, behind the shower curtain, under the beds, in any drawer I could put things, even the freezer. And actually, what happens at that point, we get a little crazy and we start screaming at everybody. We get guilty like crazy because of that, and kindness goes completely out the window. So I gave up. I really thought I'd never get it. After years of trying, I seriously thought there was something wrong with me. So here's another thing that happened. Eventually, I retreated into denial, and I think you've probably done this too. I started to tell myself that I work better under pressure. I told myself that this is what happens when you have a bunch of kids. This is what happens when you're so busy all the time. I had tons of excuses. I convinced myself that I loved how I pulled things off the last minute, and I gave myself so much kudos because I was acting so superior to my organizationally gifted friends because they're always cleaning and they're always busy, and I have lots of time to chill. But I knew it was complete baloney because I really never chilled. I just retreated. I panicked. I denied. And the only time I did take for anything was completely ridden with guilt. Now, this story, I'm going to tell you face to face without looking at my notes because I feel like I should. So I had a lot of shame that happened at a certain point. I mean, shame kind of like was something that happened all the time about the way I lived. But this one particular day, it's when the bottom fell out. And I'm going to tell you the story. Let me stop the screen share. Okay, you ready? I went to some Bible function that there was. It was some sort of a, potluck or something like that. I don't remember exactly what it was. But, one of those things that you go to at church in the evening. And I had no car at the time. And my pastor said, I'll pick you up. That'll be no problem. And I said, thanks, right? So during the day, I went to the park with my kids, and we had a nice little day there. And then it was time to go home and get ready to get picked up. And when I walked into the house was completely trashed by the dog, because I had a dog at the time that was afraid, didn't like to stay home alone. Maybe he was afraid. He was afraid to stay home alone. I don't know, but he didn't like to stay home alone. And I forgot to take the garbage and put it in the bathroom. Like if we left the window open, he would jump through the screen. That like this dog was a girl. She actually did not like to be alone that much. So we came home, and on top of my normal mess, toys, clothes, garbage, and like my garbage, I don't mean the garbage that the dog did. I meant like garbage like that you just don't throw away. Like it's really easy to take a wrapper that you have and toss it in the garbage. But us organizationally challenged people, we don't do that. We just drop it where it is. So on top of the already mess that was there, there was also wall-to-wall garbage, coffee grounds, chicken legs, meat wrappers, garbage, ripped up paper. I mean, you name it, you know, it was there. Well, an organizationally gifted person, you know what they would do? They would be like, either call their pastor and say, you got to give me a few more minutes. The dog ripped up the garbage. Or when the pastor got there, if they didn't have that time, they would just tell them, wait a few minutes, please. I just got to pick this stuff up. And they would. But what do us organizationally challenged people do? We just kind of see it as like, oh no, this sucks. And then we just step all over it and we get ready and we go. Well, that's what happened. That's not so bad, right? What was so bad was that when I got the ride home, the kids were asleep in the car. It was late. So I had 3 little kids in the car. I don't know. I guess it was like 1, 3, and 5, maybe is what they were, or just under ones, because there was one in an infant car seat. So I'm thinking, oh no, how am I going to get him to not carry these kids in the house? I knew that there was nothing I could do. There was no way he was going to say, okay, go ahead. I'll sit here while you pick up your kids and walk in and out and in and out and in and out and get the car seats. Sure. You know, he wasn't going to do that. So I was stuck. So of course I tried. Didn't work. So he said, I'll get Katie, who was the oldest and of course the heaviest. So, you know, I'll get Katie, you get Georgie, and then we'll come back in out for Mikey and the seats. And so there we silently, I mean, talk about walk of shame. Oh my God. He said nothing. He didn't say one word. He didn't say one word. He just walked in. Other than, I mean, it was bad enough with, he had to go in the kids' room too. So he had to like lay down my daughter in her, you know, her little twin bed that was unmade with stuff all over the place. Clothes, dirty clothes, clean clothes, toys. It's nuts. He had to go in the baby's room, put him in the crib. I mean, thank God that crib was all right. I mean, there were some things that I was good at. The thing is that organizationally challenged people, we're not dirty. We're not dirty people, just really messy. I mean, yeah, if you went into my kitchen, you would say it was dirty, I guess, in a way, because dishes were left out and all of that. But we cleaned. The sink wasn't gross. The tub isn't gross. You know, we're generally clean people. Now, on a side note, there has been times when this I guess, this issue got the best of me and I would get depressed and I'd just stay in bed and I wouldn't clean. So there were times that, yeah, maybe it did get a little gross, but on the whole, we're clean people. We're just super messy. So anyway, that happened. And I knew that this was way more than just, it was affecting me way more than just, I need to get this house cleaned up. I always knew it, but this was like my absolute rock bottom. I was really humiliated. So let's see, I'm going to go on to the next slide. I wonder if anybody here, have you ever had anything like that go on in your life? Have you ever had that, oh my God, moment kind of thing? Kind of, it was a blessing in disguise because it forced me to try to find help, to try to find out how can I get out of this. So here, I'm going to go on to the next slide and tell you that I said to myself at that moment, you got to do something about this. There is a way out. Start praying. And I did. I started praying. And as I did, you know, I first felt kind of hopeful, but then the negatives started flooding in. And I was saying to myself, you've been like this your whole life. You've been a mother and a housewife at that point for 9 years. Everything you've ever tried before failed. What makes you think you can get the help you need now or that this is going to change? It doesn't make any sense. It's not logically possible. You know, we all have those stupid voices, right? Now, especially since I sincerely, wholeheartedly believe that there was something wrong with me. How do you fix what's broken if you're a person? So I miraculously found out about a book called Sidetracked Home Executives. Now, something that I want to tell you about that is, you know, those negative thoughts, they're so normal. One of the things that's great about being involved with the kind of group that I have and what I offer is that you're not alone. And there's so many times that I have thought, you know, there's no help for me, or there's something wrong with you and you're all alone and there's nobody like you and nobody will understand. And then I get into groups and involved with other people that are doing what I'm doing. And then I find out it's not a big deal. Everybody feels like that sometimes. That's normal. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing to be involved with people that are doing what you're doing. So if you're thinking, or if you ever think about anything that there's something wrong with you, find the group that is doing what you're doing, and then you'll find out that there's nothing wrong with you. It's freaking nature. It's the way it is. We're not perfect. So I miraculously found out about a book called Sidetracked Home Executives. It was written by Pam Young and Peggy Jones, and they called themselves the Slob Sisters. Now, up until then, books on getting organized were written by organizationally gifted people. When I found out what the reason was that I couldn't get it together, no matter how hard I tried, or what new book I picked up from a friend, or I maybe begged somebody to come and help me, I found out that it's not because I can't learn. It's because they don't know how I tick. They're doing something very different than the way I think. They started at a place that confused me. And we'll get to that when we talk about the 3 mistakes that people make when trying to get the house cleaned up. I could never make it work, which solidified my belief that there was something wrong with me. Society has convinced us that everyone was just supposed to be organized, and that you should just know how to live an organized life and how to keep a house tidy and in order. In this day and age that we're living, even the organizationally gifted people are struggling with this. Life has changed for everybody. Like, it's not anymore. There was a time when the rules were so different than they are now, and it was because life was simpler. There was one car to a family. Most women stayed home. Even the women that did go out to work, they had help. It was never expected that somebody could do it all, ever. And when life changed, we kept playing the same rules. So the thing is that we have an advantage right now because of our natures, what's going on in the world and how life changed while everything else kind of remained the same works better for people like you and me. We're spontaneous. There's no rigidity in us. We go with the flow. We roll with the punches. It's part of our nature. And since life, as we've all known it, has changed, us organizationally challenged people, we're primed to hit the ground running with these new rules. And I want to give society a wake-up call that us organizationally challenged people, there is nothing wrong with us, and there never has been. Now that I helped you see where I'm coming from, and hopefully helped you see that you're not alone and that we really are a lot alike and there's a lot of us, I'm going to take a minute to talk about the 3 big mistakes that everybody's making. You know, I think that it's so necessary that we understand who we are and how we tick. And so that's why I wanted to take all of that time to get to that. Because unless you sincerely know that something can work for you, nothing you're going to do is going to make that work, because you're going to be going against a belief. So you're not going to give it any of the time that you need. Okay, so here's the 3 big mistakes, okay? 3 big mistakes that everyone is making, and these mistakes led me to total failure each time I tried to get the house cleaned up once and for all. You're probably experiencing these same mistakes too, and if you have experienced them, or you do experience them, I want you to not feel bad, because I've made them, my students have too, and we're going to go over these mistakes, all right, and how to fix them, and then dive into the training, okay? Mistake number 1 is just do it, okay? Just do it. We've been told that. All right, just do it when you're organizationally challenged. And if you might be wondering, why isn't she saying disorganized? What is this organizationally challenged thing? Well, you know what it is? It's the way we should be saying what we are. Because is anybody dis-musical? Is anybody dis-mathematical? If it's a learned skill, then you aren't dis-anything. You just don't know how to do it. It's the most respectful way to say what we are. I'm not disorganized, and neither are you. We've got a challenge with organization, but once we learn it, we learn it. So that's why I say that, okay? So let's see, how many times have you heard the phrase, just do it, and asked yourself, just do what? I can't tell you how many times this has been the advice I would get from people, and they're still giving this advice. Us organizationally challenged people are creative, we're fun-loving, and quite spontaneous. Just doing anything, working without a reason and a plan, is a recipe for disaster, because as you know, we are scattered by nature, and as you might not know, we're predominantly right-brained. If it's not fun, we just don't want to do it. We are not motivated by have to, unless there's some kind of a consequence to it. Like, you know, I have to clean the house versus so-and-so stopping by now. All of a sudden, we are motivated to clean the house. So we're only motivated to clean the house with some severe have to. But the left-brain people, they're not. They are able to break things down into little bites, and they're able to do things just because it's supposed to be done, okay? All right, let's see. People who are left brain have an administrative function in place. They know what to do, when to do it. They can see details and it doesn't overwhelm them. They do things because it's time to do it, not because it needs to be done. Those of us who are more right brain, breaking things down doesn't come naturally to us. Our process is different. As a right brain, organizationally challenged person, we see the entire picture. It's why we shut down and we fall into overwhelm. Mistake number 2 is hiring a cleaning service. It's pretty funny because in the Facebook event, I put this up as a Facebook event and inviting people that way too. And one person on the chat said, you know, join me for this webinar where I'll teach you how to declutter your house without any overwhelm. And somebody put in there, I'll just hire somebody. And I'm like, wow. So that person, either they think that's the ticket, that's going to work, or they are organized anyway, and so they just put that in to be clever, right? Because hire a cleaning person is not the solution, and I know you know it if you've done it, all right? Even if you do have a regular cleaning person that comes once a week, the in-between times, it's a mess. It's not the solution. So if you want to just live your life every single day where you grab a cup when you want it, you have clean clothes when you need them, you go into a bedroom that you're happy about, somebody rings the doorbell and you say, come on in. You want to make a cup of coffee and you don't have to clean the pot out first. You know, all of those things that are part of living in a house that is well ordered, it doesn't happen because you have a cleaning person. That cleaning person makes it decent for that day. You run around like a crazy person getting it ready for that cleaning person to come. And then in between that time and the next time they come, it's a disaster. That's not the way we want to live. Okay, now another thing is hiring a professional organizer. Now, this is what a lot of people do. When I taught classes live and there were people there, I would always ask them, how many here has hired a professional organizer? And the majority of the people raise their hand. And then I would ask how many people are back in the same mess they were in before. And every single person that raised their hand that hired them raised their hand that were in the mess that they were before. And that's just because that's not the problem. We've cleaned up the house before. It's not like we don't know how to clean up the house. It's keeping it that way. That's the problem. So hiring a professional organizer is not your ticket. Getting a cleaning service, getting a professional organizer, once you have it all together, I'm all for that. But before that, it's just throwing money away. And it's giving you another, not only you, but other people in your lives, another set of ammunition to be like, there you go again, Mardine, or yeah, you'll never be able to do it. I'll never be able to do that. You know, all of the guilt of the money wasted and the time wasted. And then again, what does it cement in us? Is something wrong with me? So those are 3 of some of the biggest mistakes, 3 of the biggest mistakes that people make. I know that you've picked up magazines from the checkout aisle and you watch YouTube videos and you wrote books and you followed social media personalities who are in love with organizing and promised tips and tricks and solutions, but you either felt like they left something out or they were so perfect that you felt like you can never be who they were. And all of those solutions, all of those tips and tricks created another set of beliefs that confirm that you'd never get it. There's another way that does not require you to just do it and feel totally overwhelmed with the process. We've been led to believe that we just should know how to live organized and keep house. So we had no tools in our toolbox. And the truth is, if anyone did try to teach us how we would be able to get it together, we couldn't follow what they said. And the reason is because there's something called an expert theory. The expert theory is something that those people who are experts, they leave a whole bunch of stuff out. You find yourself asking, like, now what? How am I going to be able to do this? Expert theory is where somebody knows something so well that they leave out so much that we feel like, what the heck are they talking about? I'm going to go to the next slide. All right, so if you go to Google and you Google a search that says, you know, how do I get the house cleaned up, or steps to get the house cleaned up? This is what it literally says, all right? It literally says, do it by category. Start with the worst room. Look at expiration dates. Anything that you haven't used in 12 months, get rid of. Like, honestly, is that what they think a solution is? Here's another one. Prioritize. Everything's a priority, isn't it? Hello. Don't procrastinate. Gee, thanks for that advice. Take time for you and make a to-do list for the day. Honestly, is it any wonder we haven't gotten the help we wanted? So what we're going to do now is we're going to jump right into the how to declutter the entire house without any overwhelm. Little step-by-step plan that really, really wonderfully works. But before I do, I want to look in the chat and see if there's any questions. So if you don't have any chat questions and you didn't write anything down, or even if you just want to talk to me and say, oh my goodness, that's me or whatever, then do it now, because I'm going to take a look and see, okay? Let's see. Jean said, appreciate that you make fun of the usual advice. Yeah, because it makes you feel like you're stupid or something, right? Karen said, I woke up at 2 a.m. last night pursuing all my pursuing all of my organizational books. You mean like you were like looking through them to like, well, maybe I could do this and maybe I could do that. Is that what you mean? Mary said, this is great. Please go on. Oh, reading them. Yeah. You know, I really think that maybe eventually we might be able to get something out of those books that were written by people like the book, 7 Habits for Highly Successful People. I go into this in my course, Tutor University. That book, I really thought, well, this is going to be a great book. And I asked a friend, do you want to read this book with me? And she said, yes. And we started reading the book, and she read it, you know, not like together, well, we were like reading it to each other, but kind of like a book club thing, you know, and we'd call each other and talk about it. And I'm telling you, she absolutely loved it. Now, my friend was organizationally gifted to the nines. Like, you would wonder if her backyard was like the set of the Brady Bunch, because like there was no dirt, you know, like where's the dirt? But anyway, she loved the book, loved it. And I really did like it, but it sent me to bed with a pint of Haagen-Dazs and a spoon. Like, his first thing that he said, Stephen Covey, is prioritize. Make a list of everything has to be done and do first things first. I was like, are you kidding? Everything's a priority. And that's what I meant by like the expert theory. They start in a place that's just like, you left out a whole bunch of stuff because like, how do I figure out what's the priority? There's so much to do, right? All right, I'm going to just look at a couple other things. Let's see. All right, Amy said, yes, definitely. I have had the horrible situation when I had to let people into my space, and it was a terrible mess, and I felt ashamed. Joanne said, I can relate to the humiliation you shared. Have had similar experiences trying to not let people come in, even those who have offered to help me in the house. How many times can they help without getting fed up? Thank you for this, Kathy. You're welcome. And see, that's another thing. Like, you think, well, if you really wanted this, you do something about it. But this is another thing I talk about in my course, TTU, a realization that, you know, here's the example. I'll just give the example. I have a friend, Lisa, who's organizationally gifted. She's another one with the freaking where's the dirt in the backyard, right? So she would come over my house and she would like get all of these things going in my kitchen. You know, she'd come into the kitchen and it would be a wreck. There'd be stuff everywhere. And then like before you knew it, we were sitting down at the table with a little plate of cookies, a couple of cups of tea, and the dishes were all soaking in the sink, all sudsy and stuff, and everything was neat. And I'm like, Lisa, how the hell do you do it? How do you just come in here and shape this place up? So we would go through that on and off for a long time. She didn't understand me, and I didn't understand her. Well, years later, I said to her, oh my goodness, Lisa, I kind of got this huge epiphany, because she always had an issue with weight. I never did. Not to say that I don't right now, because I really could lose a few pounds. But my point is that losing weight never was difficult for me. She always was struggling with losing weight, never at a goal weight, very, very difficult for her. And so she would say to me, like, Kathy, just throw the garbage out. Like, just take the tea bag and throw it in the garbage. It's so funny because Pam Young, in that book that I talked about, Sidetracked Home Executives, she also had that written in her book. She had that written in her book where she said, like, just throw the tea bag away. And because Lisa would come over and there'd be like graduated, petrified tea bags on my counter. So when I would say, like, Lisa, what, you know, just how do you do it? She'd say, Kathy, just throw the tea bags away. And so at that moment, I said to her, Lisa, just put the potato chips down. You see? Do you see what a big deal that is? It's not as easy. Like when you said, you know, how many times are they going to come over and get fed up? Well, what about people that need to lose weight and are having a hard time of it, and they have a diet today and they have a diet next week, and then they lose weight and they gain weight and they lose weight and they gain? Like, do we want to be pointing fingers at them and saying anything to that negative connotation to them? No, why? The reason is because we have compassion for that, and there is zero compassion for this. Come on. So I think it's pretty cool, all of this realization. All right, so Karen said, I didn't do anything, just read. Yeah, you didn't do anything, just read, yeah. Sometimes it motivates, but most of the time it guilts us. Let's see. Shoshana said, I hope I said your name correctly. Thank you, Kathy. I just joined. I hope I can glean how to declutter. You mean you just joined TTU? I'd be so happy, so happy. It's such a happy place to be. All right, so Amy said, I have tried to read the 7 Habits repeatedly, but do not find it helpful. There's a reason why. Therese, over the years, I have several organized books too. Didn't do much with any of them. See, it's not for lack of trying, is it? Lisa, so frustrating that in my mind, I always want to declutter, but when I actually do it, it's so hard, so overwhelming, hard to let go of emotional stuff. We'll get into that. Candy said, I really want to know the way to declutter. Okay, we're going to get to that. Mary, my mother-in-law comes into my kitchen and makes straight for the fridge to clean it. I hate it, but can't say anything because I know she's right. April, I can relate to the tea bags like the plan I used them again. Jean said priority, yeah. Lisa, I like your analogy about the ridiculing over challenges. Although many people do ridicule people with weight issues. Yeah, I guess they do, but it is much more of a acceptable, societal thing, Like here's an example to that. Nobody will take a child away from someone because they're overweight or because the mother's overweight. But it has been the case where people have been threatened to have their children taken away because their home is a mess, right? Something is unbalanced here. Okay, so here we go. Let's see. We're going to do this, and you're going to be able to do this because you're going to have a plan with direction and focus. Because with direction and focus, you will have success, okay? Now, I have a little slide here with the things that we're going to need. There's supplies that you're going to need, okay? And so there's a picture of it there, but I have actual things right here by me, okay? So there's an apple box that I feel like, is very necessary. I recommend apple boxes. You get them from the produce store. You call up the produce store. Let me make sure I am sharing screen. I am not. Okay, share screen. First, I want to let you know about the supplies that you're going to need, okay? You need a shoe box. See the image there? You need, and I have all of it right here. So here we go. You need a shoe box. Dun, 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 dun. Now it's funny that it's Nike, right? Just do it. So you need a shoe box. And you use this for the small things. And we'll do a little bit of this together. Okay, so let me put this down here. You need, because this is how you're going to get through the house so that it's not like you're constantly doing something, but actually never getting anything done, because there's a plan for each time you go in and for every section, okay? So, all right, so you got the shoe box. You have a small container. Now right here, this is just like it was a soup container, but you can use a jar. You can use a little piece of like some sort of Tupperware or something like that. It could be a small jar. I have found that it needs to be bigger because after a while, people were telling me, Kathy, that little jar you recommend is not enough. I find so much change because that's what this is for, the change that we find in the house. You're going to need a garbage, okay? You need a garbage. So here's a garbage with a bag in it. You will need 3 boxes. Now, because you're going to need an apple box, at least 1 apple box. And I'll show you what an apple box looks like right here. I have one right next to me. The reason that you're going to need an apple box is because they eventually are going to work for your storage area. And they are great for so many things. So here's an apple box, all right? They have handles, right? They have handles. They're not too big. It comes so that it's a box in a box. Let me show you. Okay. So here's a lid. Sorry if that was really loud. Here's a lid. Here's the bottom. So it goes in it. And these last forever. I mean, forever and ever. Like I said, I've been doing this system for 30 years. And I have moved a few times since then. And it's funny how I mark off a box, like I'll say like Mikey size 2. Mikey is now 35 years old. And this box is still going strong. So you'll need at least 1 apple box, but if you have 3, you could use them because you're going to need another container for put away. So you want to put it away in another room in the house. You'll need something for recycling. You'll need something for giveaway or sell. You'll need something for papers. And so is that it? Giveaway, sell, put away in another room in the house. Storage, you need another one for storage, okay? Now, all of these containers can be a basket you might have laying around, a storage bin that you have, you know, it doesn't have to, an empty box that you have. They all don't have to be apple boxes, but it's a good idea to start collecting them. So you go, oh, and you need a timer. You also need a pad and a pen. Now the pad I recommend, get a pad that fits in your purse, okay? If you're a man, you don't have a purse, maybe, I don't know, one that maybe fits in your back pocket, okay? Or that you can keep, maybe you could bring out to the glove compartment or something like that, but it's much better if it could be on you somehow because you're probably gonna forget. All right, so these are the things that you're gonna need, and I'll let you know why we need them as we go. And another thing too is, I'll put in the chat and also I'll mail to you a PDF with all of the supplies you need written out plus written instruction. Okay, so you'll get that from me. Okay, so we're going to do the how to declutter and where to start in the house. Okay, so first we're going to talk about that. Where are you going to start? Now I'm going to do this where it's going to be stop the share so that I could talk to you face to face like this. All right, so where to start in the house? You want to start in the house either where you absolutely have to, and by that what I mean is, say you're having a friend or a family member come in from out of state and they're going to be staying in your guest room, and your guest room is now you know, the room of shame, or you know, just a place that you shove everything and it's a wreck. So that's probably the room you're going to have to start with, because even if the rest of the house is a wreck, at least you'll know they'll have a clean space for themselves to be in. If it's the holidays, you're going to want to start with the main living area. If you're having a baby soon, then maybe you're going to want to start with, you know, the room that the baby's going to go in, or, you know, if you're like me, the baby stays in my room for the first few months. So then maybe I might want to start with my bedroom because that's where the baby would be. You decide where to start in the house based on the time of year it is, what is very necessary to get done right there, or what would make you the most happy to get done. So an example of that could be, say, your kitchen. Say, like, you know, your kids have been saying, you know, Mom, we'd love to come over, but we just can't stand it. You know, like, fine, we'll deal with everything else in the house, but it would be nice if we came over for dinner. Like, can you get the kitchen done so we could just come over for dinner? You know, or you know that you would just love to be able to bake. Like, geez, I've been wanting to bake in so long, but I can't even get to my oven. Make that be your room, because it's the happy factor. It would make you the most happy to get done. Because what happens is, without motivation, the idea of change, it's really good when you've hit the wall or you've been humiliated in some way, but it wanes really easily. So if you have that happy factor going, it'll keep you going. You'll finish it. Say, like, my always favorite was my front porch. I had this little front porch when I lived in the house that I lived in, and it was my space that I loved. And I always thought, if I was still in a wreck, that would be my space that I wanted to get done. Now, actually, I moved out of that house for 2 years and rented it. And then I moved back after 2 years. And the very first room that I wanted to tackle was that front porch for the happy factor. And when you get the deer in headlights course that you're going to get from free from this, that's what I talk about there. Now I look quite a bit younger in that course, but still, it's still, you know, applicable, even though it was a long time ago. So that's where I started, because I mean, I moved into this house. I had so much to do. I felt overwhelmed at the time. I was teaching Tutor University live in front of people in adult schools. I also was writing a book, and I had a deadline. I had an editor. I moved into this house. It was a wreck, and I worked 3 other jobs at this time. So I felt panicked. So that's how I developed the it's deer in headlights system. And the first thing was, what'll make me the most happy to get done? So that's maybe where you might want to start with, where do you start in the house? Okay, so you got that. Now, how do you decide? We just talked about that. Where do you start in the room? Just pick a place. Okay, just pick a spot. If you're in the kitchen, you might want to say, I'm going to start at the kitchen sink and work my way around. If you're in the bedroom, you might want to say, I'm going to start at my bed and work my way around. Maybe you're in the living room and you have maybe a whole closet, you know, that's like right in the living room. Like you walk in and there's a closet maybe. So you say, I'm going to start at the closet. You know, you make the decision wherever you want to start in that room. Now, there's something else that I want to mention. Normally, we would start from the inside out, because regardless of what you decide, to declutter to the point where you're now living a life that you're proud of, and you're in that place that I talked about where it's not a constant treadmill of cleaning a mess, cleaning a mess, cleaning a mess, you have to do with the inside. So I'm not saying that you can skip the inside. You can't. All right, you can't. But remember what I said before, where do you start in the house? It depends on how important it is, right? Let's say it's the holidays and you're having people come and they're going to be, you're going to host, Christmas or whatever, right? You're going to host it. Well, you're not going to really care about the inside at this point, because nobody's going to be opening up your drawers. You know, nobody's going to be going in your refrigerator, because of course you're not going to let them. Nobody's going to go under your sink in the kitchen. You know, nobody's going to be doing that. And your need right now is to declutter the room that you're in. All right. So if it happens to be that it's a time where everything in the surface that your eyes can see have to be done and have to be done now, then you'll start at wherever still, say the kitchen sink, say the bed, say the couch in the living room, you know, say where the closet is, whatever, right? You're going to start there and you're going to work your way around. If it's a time that's very necessary, that everything that you see is perfectly, you know, together, then don't go on the inside. Then you'll start right on the surfaces. So say it's the couch, say you have a whole bunch of crap on the couch, you'll start there, and then you'll move around. You won't go under the couch, you won't go in a closet, you won't go in a drawer, all right? But if you're in a space, say you're saying, well, my happy factor, say it's, you know, there's nothing going on. This is October right now at the time of this webinar that we're having. So at this moment, October, it's usually pretty easy. You could do things more because like nobody's coming this month, you know, kind of thing, most likely. If it was summertime, oh my gosh, summertime is a perfect place to start because, or a perfect time to start, because in the summer, there's very little things on the calendar. So unless you're having some unexpected guest, you're not going to be hosting any kind of celebration or something. So depending on what time of year it is and what's going on, you're going to want to decide, am I going to start from the inside or from the outside? I recommend, if you can, and its timing is right, start on the inside. So if say you're going to say that I'm going to begin in the kitchen, that's my happy place. That's where it'll make me most happy to finish. And I'm going to start at the sink. Then you open up underneath the sink and you just pick up one thing at a time. Don't think about the whole room. Don't think about that, how messy it is under there, what you got going on under there. One thing at a time. That's what you do, this one thing at a time. You pick it up. And these are the questions you ask. Do I need this? Do I want this? Do I use this? Do I love this? And based on the answers is what you do with them. So if you, let's see, I'm going to move on with my little checklist here. That's how you decide where to start in the room and then what to do. I'm talking about that right now. And there's anti-sidetracking devices. So now when you pick up something, I actually have a little box here that I've thrown some things in so that I can kind of like do this quickly with you. All right. So let's pretend I'm going to put this, oh, wait, give me 1 second. Let me pick this up. And put this here. Okay. All right. So let's pretend I decided I'm going to work in my bedroom and I'm going to open up a drawer. And that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start at my dresser and I'm opening up a drawer, right? One thing you want to do is set a timer. Okay. Make a determination. How long do I want to do this? And the reason for that, like say you say, well, I got all day though. That's called like dad disease. I go all day, right? And nothing gets done. So if you don't set a timer, your brain is saying, when is this going to be over? Do you really want to do this? I think there's something you're going to like procrastinate to eat. You're going to procrastinate to watch TV, procrastinate a phone call. There's all these things that are going to come up and stop you from finishing. So you want to remember, we need a plan. Without a plan, there's no direction. Without direction, you go nowhere. So you want to say, all right, I'm going to work for 30 minutes. Now, if you're going to work for 30 minutes, I recommend set your timer for 15 minutes. And then set it again for 15 minutes. And the reason for that is we're playing a little trick on ourselves. We know that we can do anything for 15 minutes. We can do anything for 30 minutes, but it is so nice to know that we're almost halfway there, or that we are halfway there. So if you're going to do something for 30 minutes, set a timer for 15 minutes. Then when that timer goes off, you say, bada boom, I'm halfway there. Set it for another 15 minutes, you're done. Say you say, I'm going to do it for an hour. Set the timer for 30 minutes. Then you know I'm halfway done. I'm halfway there. And then you set the timer for the next 30 minutes. It really helps you to keep going and not feel that dread of, I wish I never started this. I don't want to do this anymore. Right? And when you have that ding, it's like it's permission to stop. And it's permission to keep going. Now, when I did one-on-one coaching, one of the things that I noticed was that people weren't actually setting the timer. They were looking at the clock. And I would be like, I don't understand what the problem is. Why are you having so much problems, getting through your decluttering sessions? Well, I look at the clock and I see, I'm like, wait a minute. No, it doesn't work that way. We need to set the timer. Looking at the clock, there is something psychological that goes on when we have something on the outside of us that says, I will mind you when you stop. So make sure you set a timer. Okay. So you set a timer. And you have your anti-sidetracking devices around you, just like I showed you a few minutes ago, right? Those things that are small, shoebox for small things, a box for storage, a box for papers, a box for put away in another room in the house, a pan and a pen, a little container for change, a garbage, a giveaway and sell container. Okay. Now, as far as the sell is concerned, my personal opinion is just get rid of it. Give God the opportunity to give to you. If you've been living in a mess for a long time, I really venture to say that if you say I'm going to sell these things, they're not going to get sold. So we could talk about that a little bit, all right? And I do know people that have very successfully put things for sale and have done them. So you, okay? You know the state you're in, you know the state the place is in. So, move ahead with that accordingly and, ask somebody advice, but make sure there's somebody that you can actually get the right advice from. So, okay, we'll go on to the next thing. All right, so now what to keep, how do you decide? You just make a decision, okay? So now, here, pretend I opened a drawer, okay? And oh, look, I have some Barnes & Noble gift card. I have a couple of gift cards. Where do these go? These are gonna go in the shoebox, okay? These are gonna go in the shoebox. Oh, here they go, bada boom, in the shoebox, okay. Oh, I got a couple of pens. Where do these go? Now, if they go in the room that you're in, you put them away in the room that you're in. Let's say you have these pens, they go in the room you're in, but you say, oh geez, I have no place to put these pens. That's what the pen and the pad are for. So you take the pens, put them anywhere in the room, all right, anywhere. On top of the dresser, on the couch, wherever the heck, all right, it don't matter. Put the pens anywhere and write in your pad that you have for this, because that's what this pad is for, create a space for your pens. Now, I'm going to tell you, do not go out and purchase organizing things. Most of the time, you're going to have everything you need at home, everything you need there, okay? So right in there, right in your thing, get a place for pens, okay? And then you put them down. If they go in this room, you put them down there, anywhere in that room. But if they go in another room in the house, you don't say, well, I'm going to have to create a place for these, because you don't know that yet. So you take them and you put them in the shoebox. The pens that go in a shoebox. Now, those pens are brand new, so I know that they are pens that work. But if you come across a pen and it's loose before you put it in, goes in another room in the house, take that pen and do this. If it works, it goes in there. If it doesn't work, it goes in the garbage. Right there, right then, okay? Now, I do also recommend that if you find pens from hotels, that you just dump them, because they put just enough ink in there to last, no time. So they're just something that you need to get rid of. So just get rid of hotel pens. All right, so now you came across change. Here's some change. Put it in there. There you go. Dum, dum. Okay, got change in there. Now, of course, I'm not going to put the top back on it because I'm still using it. All right, now I come across this bag. Do I love this bag? Do I need this bag? Do I want this bag? Do I use this bag? Now, you know what? I really do like this bag, but I've had it for a year. This is just hypothetical. I had it for a year. I never used it. What am I going to do? I'm going to give it away, or I'm going to sell it. So it goes in one of those boxes, give away, sell. Now, let's say you come across a bag. I'm going to do this now, okay? All right. So now let's say you come across a bag. Here's another dress bag. And you say, you know what? Holy mackerel, I really do love this bag. But in reality, I have never carried it. So I'm agonizing over this. Here is how we stop the process of not getting anything done because we can't decide. That's what we're going to do with this is, I call it the box it up plan. And with the box it up plan, you take whatever it is, don't give it more than 5 seconds, okay? No more than 5 seconds to make a decision. Do I want this? Do I need this? If you're saying, I'm not sure, done. That's as much time as you're gonna take with that, okay? Oh, geez, I'm not sure. Done. It goes in the box it up. I don't know what to do with this thing, okay? So here, this is gonna go in the, I don't know what to do with this box. And I'll tell you what to do with that box when we're done. Okay, so now you come across some garbage. Here's some garbage. Now this looks like it's not garbage, right? Why? Because it's stuff my granddaughter drew. Oh, how cute. Get rid of it, okay? Get rid of it. If there's something that's amazingly special, keep that one amazingly special thing. But what I do is I put whatever is refrigerator worthy on the refrigerator. And then the next time I get a refrigerator worthy something, that goes. But these, she was in my room, she was playing around. She ain't gonna say that they're garbage, but they're garbage. So there you go, in the garbage. So this goes in another room in the house. It goes in the bigger box, obviously, in another room in the house. This is a little Beatles pin. Remember, do, 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 right? Wasn't that the Beatles at the cartoon? Anyway, here's the Beatles pin. And so this goes in the small box, the shoe box, all right? And that's just the way you're going to proceed with this. One thing at a time goes in. Now, let's say this is Gorilla Glue. Now, Gorilla Glue, it doesn't necessarily go in another room in the house. And it isn't necessarily storage either. But I do keep things that are storage outside of the house. So I might, this is like, you know, you have to make a call here, you know, is this going to goes in another room in the house, or is this going to go in storage? So kind of it's storage to me because I barely use this. So, but it is kind of like a tool thing. So I would put this in the storage box. Now, the thing with storage that you need to know is none of it has to make sense. Look, I'm going to pick this up here. This is a pair of, you know, summer pants. Okay. Now, this is storage because I don't have a big enough closet. So if I did have a big enough closet where I had all my summer, all my winter in there, then this would just go in another room in the house. But since these don't go in there, they do go in storage in my summer box, this would also go in storage with the Gorilla Glue. And it might seem like, well, what are you doing that for? Because all of those things in storage is what we do at the end. Everything that goes in storage, when you're done filling up your storage, the box that you have for storage, you just put a lid on it, you put it wherever it is that you keep your storage things, and you leave it there until you're ready to deal with your storage area. Okay, so you just keep going like that. I think I've gone through everything. Let's see. Now the Box It Up plan, let you know what to do with that. Put in your calendar 4 weeks from today. Now, if you're a part of Tutor University, I would tell you in your binder, have a section for Box It Up plan. So right in your calendar, 4 weeks from today, right, Box It Up. You would look and see, all right, I have the Box It Up here. What do I need to look at? Oh, I have this box underneath the stairs in the hallway that I have in that closet, and I have to go take a look at it. And then 4 weeks later, you go and take a look. You have an appointment to look in there. Most likely, you're not going to really want to keep anything in there because it's been 4 weeks. You didn't miss anything, and you couldn't decide whether you wanted it anyway. So you open up that stuff. Then maybe you'll want to get rid of all of it, maybe only some of it. So you'll say, nah, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. Don't want. I'm still not sure about that. Keep it there. It's okay. You know, keep it there. And if that box isn't full, the next time you do your declutter sessions, you will bring that box out so that you will have your Box It Up plan, and you just add to your list. Now, if you're not part of TTU and you don't have a binder where you could have that section, then you just want to write in your calendar 4 weeks from today where it was hidden. Box it up. You could just say Box It Up, and then write under the stairs or in my closet in my room. And then, you know, when you come to that date, of course, you'll have to look at your calendar every day. When you come to that date, you'll just go in there and make those decisions about that. Okay. Now, what about papers? And if you guys have any questions as we're going, type them in and I'll answer them. Okay. So what about papers that you come across? Now, if you're dejunking a room and there's piles of papers in that room, it will be extremely frustrating for you to have to go through those papers. Unless your happy place is to go through all of the paper piles that you have. If you're going through, say, your bedroom, and you want your bedroom to be nice, but you have piles of papers in there, then what you want to do is you take each pile of papers, you wrap it up in either twine or a big rubber band, and you put it in a box. Name that pile. So, you know, we all know what's in our piles, right? So you could say end table in bedroom pile, dining room pile, kitchen counter pile. If you happen to know what the pile is, like divorce papers pile, insurance papers pile, mail from, you know, accident you were in pile. Most of the time, papers that are hanging around is because they're emotional and you don't want to deal with them. So name the pile, wrap it up, name the pile, write on a piece of paper, stick it in between where you wrote, you know, the twine, stick it in there so that it's there, put it in that box. Then what you want to do is maybe like 15 minutes a day, or you can even just decide, you could say every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm going to do 15 minutes in papers. Or every time I sit down to watch TV, I'm going to get out that box of papers. And you don't need to dejunk that whole paper box all at one shot. You know, those papers have been freaking sitting in piles forever. And if it happens to be that you say, oh, geez, I need to have that such and such paper, you don't have to panic about it because you know where it is. It's in that box and you name the pile. So say you say, oh, shoot, the lawyer just called and he needs that information that I had from that such and such thing. And then you say, all right, well, I know that was in the bedroom on the end table. You go in the box, the bedroom box, you mark the box papers, right? You mark it, you open it up, and you look in there, in the piles, you have all these little packets in there, and you look in there and you say, oh, look, here it is, end table papers. And you know, once in a while, it ain't gonna be there. We don't always remember, right? So you go through the end table papers and you're like, oh, geez, it wasn't in the end table papers. Where was it? But you're doing exactly the same thing you would have done if it was in the house. You would have said, oh, geez, it's not on the end table. It must be on the dining room table. I think that's where it is, on the dining room table. And then you're going to go on the dining room. Same thing. So it's not like you're misplacing things and making yourself crazy. You're not. Now, one other thing about the papers is if you happen to come across an important paper as you're doing this, get it wherever you keep important papers. So let's say you're wrapping up a pile of papers and you happen to see your passport. Don't wrap it up and put it in there. Say you happen to see a warranty that you were supposed to mail in. Don't stick it in there. Say you just happen to see a receipt for your brand new computer and you want to make sure that you know where that is because you just got that computer, and if it goes on the fritz, you want to have that on, you know, right in your fingertips. And so you'll put that somewhere. Anything that's important, a birth certificate, you come across a birth certificate, a social security card, don't wrap that up in that. Take those out. And if you don't have a place for them right now, put those in the shoebox. Okay, just put them in the shoebox. You're gonna go through that shoebox and because at the end of your session, you disperse all of the things. Okay, and one of the things I don't want you to do is say, but you know what? I'm going to dejunk again tomorrow, so I don't have to go through the shoebox. I don't have to go through the put away in the other room in the house. Yes, you do. Part of what it is that we're doing is we're laying new tracks. We got these tracks going that we've been riding on for a long time, and obviously they don't work. We need to set up some new tracks and to go in a new direction. And one of the things is we have to have a different mindset when it comes to crap we've got laying around. We could be blind to it. So we want to have a new standard, and that new standard is order. I'm valuable. I'm worth it. This is an investment in my life here. So say you set the timer for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is done. You're done for the day. You don't have any more time. You're done. What you do is go in your shoebox. Put away what you can in the shoebox. Now, if let's say you have things that go in another room in the house, there's no place for them. What are you going to do, right? Right in there, place for pens in office. I have no place for pens in my office. But just put them in the room. You don't have to put them away in the room. You just have to put them in the room. If there's a place to put them away, put them away. But if there's not, just get it in the room. Say, so now you have getting another room in the house. You got the box, getting another room in the house. This goes in my bedroom. This goes in the kids' room. This goes in the laundry room. This goes in the storage room. You know, like, you know, say you have a tool room, right? This goes in the tool room. Boom, 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 boom. And as you're going, you're saying, if I don't have a place for this in here, then I have to write on the thing, get hook for keys, get jar for pens, you know, whatever, okay? Now remember, don't shop outside the house till you shop inside the house, okay? Right now, you're just getting information. So now, the next thing I want to talk about is keepsakes. I want you to do the same thing with the keepsakes that you've done with the papers. Unless it's very easy for you to be like, bam, 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 throw it out, give it away, blah, blah, blah. Unless it's easy, then the same thing with the keepsakes. They go in the box it up plan box, all right? Don't agonize over keepsakes. You come across pictures, they go in the little shoebox. Anything that's kind of like, say you find your earrings that you took off and you left on the windowsill, or you find a ring that you've been missing, that goes in the shoebox, all right? Everything that's little. You don't want to put your engagement ring that you just found, or your wedding band you just found, or your cross that you just found, or whatever, in the box, the big box with things that have to go in another room in the house. You put them in there, and then you disperse, all right? I promise you, the dispersing part takes 10 minutes. Maybe less, all right? And then the storage, that's the only box you're not going to empty. The storage box, you're just going to keep it in tow as you go, and when it's filled, you put a top on it, you put it in the storage area, okay? All right, so that's the how-to. I don't think I left anything out, but I guess you'll ask me questions if you want to, all right? So now I'm going to look and see if you have any questions, all right, before I go on to the next section of what we're doing. All right, let's see. Allison, okay, I got that. Virginia, motivation, motivation, motivation. I just can't find motivation. Are you getting it now? There's some things is just like, Some things you don't need a motivation for, you just need a plan. So you have a plan and you do it. Have you ever, like had an exercise routine where you said, all right, I'm going to go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then you realized that all you had to do was show up, right? You didn't want to go, you didn't want to get out of bed, you didn't want to get dressed in the gym clothes. But on the days that you did, you realized all you had to do was show up. So yeah, it's true that there's going to be lots of times you don't want to do it, but you got to make a decision. What do I want more? Do I want to live like this? And if you do, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I venture to say if you're here, there is something wrong with that and you don't want to live that way anymore. So when you have a plan to follow and it's just kind of like mindless step by step, this is what I'm doing, here's my plan, this is what I'm doing, then you just do it. It is the motivation in itself. So sometimes, like I said, you got to just be your own mommy, Sometimes it's just like, all right, well, when you were a little kid and you wanted to have ice cream for breakfast, your mother said, nope, you got to wait until after lunch. And so when we grow up, we don't got our mommy telling us that. So we've got to be our own mommy. And if anybody here had a mother that they weren't very fond of or wasn't very kind to them or whatever, I know that everybody doesn't have ideal situations, because I was told this before, that whole be your own mommy thing didn't work real well for them because of the situation they had with their mother growing up. I'm not telling you to be your mommy. I'm telling you to be your own mommy, okay? And sometimes we just got to tell ourselves what to do and do it. And the whole difference between just do it and this do it is that there's plan. You make a decision. Where do I want to start? What do I want to do? How do I do it? And then you dig in. It's partly why belonging to Tidy Tutor Insiders helps so much. Deanna, I save articles. What do I do with these piles and piles of articles? Well, I've heard about that people do that. One of the things that you can do is, well, first of all, what I would do is, if you're dejunking and you come across these piles of articles, put them in a box or something, because it all depends on how much you have. If it's just a few, then you can hole punch them and get them in a binder. But if it's like a lot and you really want to go through them, then do it the same way you would do the papers. Take them, put them in a box, mark them articles, and then take 5 minutes a day or whatever time you determine, and go through them a little at a time. Grab a little bunch of them, and you can get a binder, you can get a 3-hole puncher, and the ones that you really want to keep, you can put them in there. If you find but what I would do then is you be committed to read those articles and get rid of them. They aren't meant to, these articles, magazines, they're meant to be disposable. Don't you see? Your life is way more important than your stuff. And all of this stuff is holding you down and stopping you from being who it is you want to be and what it is that you want to do with your life. And really just be who it was that you were born to be. So you got to look at it that way. One thing that you could do is determine that you will take one of those articles out with you. Now, I'm assuming that you take them out of magazines or newspapers or something. Take one of those articles out with you every time you go somewhere. And if you're going to the grocery store, sit in the car before you go into the grocery store, look at that article, get rid of it before you go. If you're going anywhere where you need to wait for somebody, always bring a couple of articles with you. You're going to be waiting out in the car for them. You might be waiting in maybe a business or somewhere like a doctor's office or something. If you have to go to the doctor or the dentist, always waiting. Anytime you find yourself waiting for something, have something with you that you can read to go through. Another thing too is most of these things are online. Most of these things are not anything that you need to have a physical piece of paper on. But here's what I want to say about that. Anything that's hard, skip it. Okay, skip it. If it's taken up a lot of space in that room and you want that room to be nice, do the box setup plan with it just like you would with papers. Follow that plan. But if you're dejunking around and there's things that are just too hard to deal with and you can't get them into a box, move on. Just move on. When you get back to it, if there's plenty to do the thing that's plenty. And if you're thinking about other people's stuff, stop thinking about other people's stuff. We've got enough of our own. Take care of your side of the street. And when you do, the other side of the street tends to take care of itself, believe it or not. Okay. Let's see. Deanna said, my problem is that I don't know when I'll need to access it. So I keep and keep. When you'll need to access an article, you mean? If that's the fact, well, I don't think you know, this might have been the fact if you were living in the woods somewhere in a time when books were not sufficiently found. But nowadays, even without the internet, there's libraries. But now with the internet, anything you need, you'll be able to find anything. You know, there's certain things that I keep. There's certain books that I keep. I'm not saying that you have to get rid of everything. You don't. But, you know, think it through. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get right to the end of this. All right. There's something that I created that's called a Tidy Tutor lifestyle. That's what I call it anyway. It's not just something that we achieve once and we do over and over again like we're on a treadmill. It really is a Tidy Tutor lifestyle. And if you've been searching for a solution, I want you to give me a minute for me to share it with you because so much more changes when we get it together. Here's this thing here. Before, I was going from dusk to done. After, on my busiest day, I was done by 11 a.m. Before, I was filled with guilt because I was always yelling at everybody. And then after, we enjoyed time with each other without any nagging because all of that became a thing of the past. Before, I could never do simple things that I wanted to do, like finish a book or finish a needlepoint or bake with my kids or even watch a movie. All of that became a distant memory, and there was plenty of time for what I wanted to do. But I've got to tell you something, there's a lot more consequences than that. I didn't know it, but so many things change when you get it together at home. There were so many things that I've always wanted to do. I wanted to go to college. I did that. I wanted to start a business. I had a produce store. I had several businesses, and it was all because I got it together. I wanted to write a children's book. I did that. You happen to know that these things without having it together at home can't happen. You know, we say, oh, well, maybe tomorrow, maybe next time. It won't happen. And we don't want to go to our grave wishing that we did simple things. But on top of that, the more profound things that we were kind of cool to do. Okay, I've traveled, which I never ever could have done. I got divorced, which I know might be a really like very negative thing, which it is, but I swear I would have stayed in that marriage forever if I hadn't gotten it together and I really needed to not be in that marriage anymore. I learned how to play the guitar, something I had wanted to do since I was like, I remember it was about 10 years old because I sent away for the Quick Pickin' Fun Strummin' Home Guitar Course by Kenny Rogers, if anybody remembers that. It was an LP. Anyway, I wanted to do that. I learned how to do that. My family, what a difference happened and a dynamic in my family. And then that one picture is like right now, I live on a farm. There's so many things that need to be done, and these things would not be able to happen if it wasn't for this part of my life that has come together. And it can happen for you, and it doesn't take a long time. Now, this foolproof system does not require a lot of your time to see results, I promise you. It's time to stop hoping that things will change and start living the life like you're the boss of it. So I want to give you a bird's eye view of what you'll get immediate access to when you sign up for Tidy Tutor University, okay? We have 4 different sessions in TTU. In session 1, week 1, you set up a binder. We have this little like modules about confidence in your identity, what to do when you aren't well, because let's face it, sometimes you don't feel well, or maybe you aren't well right now. How are you going to tackle that then? Introduction to daily routines, which is like flipping a switch of everything for you, starting and ending your day, how to do that, and then a personalized debunking plan. There's way more than that. So week 2, session 2, everything in its place. You'll no more be searching for anything. Say no without any guilt. There are these other like magical habits that we are going to implement. Debunking demonstration. In that one, I actually do a debunking demonstration. You dejunk with me. Debunking plan for your home. And this is the way the house gets dejunked from top to bottom without any craziness and with a real like beautifully systematic routine. Another expanded daily routine that we go on with in there. See, I don't throw everything at you at once. It's a beautiful step-by-step program. One session builds on the next, but do not think that it's going to take you 4 weeks to be like, see anything. You'll see it right from the start. I promise you. On day 1, you'll see a difference. Session 3, week 3, there's more magical habits. We incorporate a desk day. So that's how we tackle all of those papers. No more ongoing, oh my God, all these papers all the time and all that kind of stuff, missing appointments and all of that. We go through towels and linens. I think I spelled linens wrong. Sheets and bedding. Family laundry, getting the family involved. We do not talk about getting the family involved until session 3. We've got to clean up our side of the street before we can clean up somebody else's. Session 4, week 4, we go into detail cleaning. We have something that we call a self-cleaning bathroom. We get started on some goal setting secrets. There's all these little plans that I have, these templates that work beautifully, and I teach you all about that. We have a family work day, and if you don't have a family, then we call that a home improvement day, and we go into that. and how to keep the house tidy so that anybody could come at any time. And, you know, you'd be like, can I stop by? Sure, come on, stop by. That's what you get with Tutor University. Now, you also get bonuses, okay? You get $1,911 worth of bonuses if you sign up to TTU. This is gonna go away. I'm only keeping the doors open for 7 days. These bonuses are going to be all of yours for getting into Tutor University. You have 4 months free of Tutor Insiders. That's a $120 price tag, but it is not a $120 value. The value of that is in the thousands. And if anybody is here is in TTI, then they could tell you that is absolutely true, okay? But it's $29 a month. That's what I charge for the ongoing help of me in your life. So you get 4 months of that. You get exclusive Facebook group, which is priceless. I didn't put a tag on that. Deer in Headlights course, which you will get if you stay till the end. That will be yours, okay? Whether you enroll in TTU or not. There's an accountability club. That's a $1,200 value. We go through every single month our goals together so that in January, when we said what we wanted to do, by the time the next January comes, it's not like, oh, gee, I forgot all about that. So that's a beautiful thing. We have Coffee Talk archives. I didn't put a price on that. That's why I said it's $1,911 plus, because I didn't put a price on that. I don't know. They're worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Coffee Talks are something that we do on the regular. We meet twice a month, every other Tuesday, I should say. We meet for a live meeting where I talk about anything that has to do with organizing Tutor University, any questions that you have about family, anything like that. Okay, so people love them. You will love them, okay? And then we have a goal setting workshop that is a $297 value, but I swear it's so much more than that. But that's the value I put on it, okay? Because I don't sell that. That isn't available to anybody. That's only available on the insiders, and you will also have access to that. So enrollment is open, and here is the link that you can go to, and I'll put it in the chat so that you can have it, and I'll also tell you how much it is. So it is $497. Okay, so it's really an immense value that you're getting. Besides the fact, the life change that you're going to have, the camaraderie that you're going to have, the help that you're going to have all the way through. So, okay, so it can either be one easy payment of $497. I'm telling you, if you are anybody in the online coaching world, this is a bargain beyond belief. Now, Tutor University, you keep for a lifetime. You go through it your first 4 weeks, you get so much done, then you want to go through it again, because there's going to be some things that you just didn't notice before. It's a beautiful thing, and I teach you exactly how to go through it. Now, you can also have payments if that makes it any easier. I have 4 payments of $137, and there's that. Now, as an added bonus, if you sign up, the first 10 people to sign up, you get 30-minute call with me, and you can use it anytime within a year. You have 12 months to use that call. It might sound like, well, what am I going to get out of a 30-minute call with Kathy? Well, first of all, you know it's going to be more than 30 minutes. You know it. But second of all, say it goes to an hour. Okay, let's say it goes to an hour. Say it stays at the 30 minutes. I cannot tell you how many breakthroughs, how much money I saved people in that 30-minute call. How many people were able to figure out, how could I get rid of this storage unit that I'm paying $250 a month for? Okay, let's figure this out. Bam, 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 here's your plan. Next day, Kathy, you can't believe it. My brother came, my sister came. I'm not kidding you. So there's that, okay? And that's for the first 10 people that enroll. So these are all just kind of like little doohickeys of what you get access to. I'm just going to read a couple of testimonials, but I will give you the link to Deer in Headlights in just a minute. Okay, so everybody that's here, you'll get that link so that you'll be able to get the Deer in Headlights. Okay, this is Olga. She said, I absolutely love TTU. It is such a great course. Thank you, Kathy. It's probably the best investment in my life I've ever made. Susan said, you are a real gem, Kathy. My entire life is being transformed. I used to spend $400 a month for housekeeping help, and it was just a Band-Aid. Now I know I can manage. I prayed for help, and God sent you. Wowzers. Have a great day. Now, Susan has written me so many different things that I had to pick one, and that's the one that I picked. So I want to ask you, how much money do you lose every month because of your late payments? How much money do you waste buying things you already have because you can't find them? How much would you save if you didn't have to order takeout all the time? Because we have meal planning. We have a meal planning section as well. How much money do you waste stopping at convenience stores for things because you didn't have time to get what you needed at a different time? And how different will life be? Okay, this is what Rose said. Now, Rose was diagnosed a hoarder. She had 3 therapists, and 2 of them dropped her. They said, Rose, you don't need us no more. So she said, first time in many, many years that I have a Christmas tree up and decorated in an actual living room to put it in. 8.5 months ago, before I joined TTU, I would never, ever have thought this was possible in my lifetime. Rose's story is insane. It's wonderful. I actually have a video of Rose. There's a whole video of her talking about what happened in her life. I actually went to visit her in Canada. Jen said, I have to share that hubby was just on his way out the door to go to a client's house when I overheard him say, oh, sure, just come here instead of me going there. For a moment, I panicked, and then I realized I was a mere 10 minutes away from being ready for a visitor. I swept the floor, called my son upstairs to put his sweaters and book away, asked hubby to move something he left on the stairs, and did a bathroom swish. I would never have had time to put on makeup, so if I was so inclined. Wow, this never would have happened 2 years ago. I need 2+ weeks notice before I could have had one of my hubby's clients stop in at the house. Even last year, I would have needed at least a day. I mean, this story is really wonderful. It's about a car accident that her husband was in. This is Elizabeth. Her husband was in a car accident, and how different things were just because shortly before she took my course, and what a different way it went just because she got the house together. Some things can be horribly devastating when the house is a wreck, and I know you know it. All right, so I'm going to take some time for some Q&A. And as I do that right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the share. I'm going to get in there right now the link to enroll. So does anybody have any questions about Tidy Tutor University? I'm going to see if there is anything here. If you need to pop off, please do. Donna said, so if I write in my notebook, set a place for scarves, where do I put the scarves while I'm dejunking the room? Which box do they go in? If they go in another room in the house. And then when you take the scarves to the room that you say, this is where the scarves will go, just bring them in that room. If there's nowhere to put, nothing to put them in right now, then just bring them in the room. Just leave them in the room. You can just put them in a little box that they can fit in and just leave them there until you get to that room. Lisa, what if the biggest messes and problem is paper? Then that's the way you deal with paper. You can just go through your entire house and do that with paper. You take each pile, you name the pile, you put it in a box, you fill up that box with those piles of papers, you put it aside and you chip away at them 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 hour at a time. But like I said, you don't want to continually have the paper, and Tidy Tutor University will give you the plan to stop that from being a reoccurring thing. Okay, here's the biggest mess in toys. Kathy, the picture is so nice. Oh, thank you. I think you answered the paper question. Okay, Donna, I'm loving this, Kathy. Seems a reasonable charge to change my life so I can have people over. It's been years since I've had guests. Thanks, Donna. And I know, Donna, you are used to investing in yourself, so you know what a bargain it is. Shoshana said the actual hours, what are the actual hours of the university? The first session is it's about 2 hours, but don't let that scare you, because I have in there green and red buttons. Green means on the go, red means on your butt, because the first session, there's so many things being addressed. There's so many things being addressed in the first session that has to do with up here, that has to do with our mindset. So the first 8 videos is completely on the go. You could start the videos. It's so phone friendly, this course that I have. So you can start them in the morning when you're getting ready for the day, and you can just listen through the first 8. And then there's a few more that are on the go. And then there's, of course, some you got to sit down, you got to do it as a homework assignment. So, but even if it is 2 hours that you had to sit down, that still isn't very unreasonable. If you went to a night school course, you would be there for about 2 hours. The next session, because what I do is you take the first session, practice it for a week, then you move on to second session 2. You don't master the first session. Each session builds on the next. So what you're practicing in the first session, you will practice again in the second. And so the second session is about an hour. All total 4 sessions or about 7 hours total. Okay. Donna said, my boyfriend pays $200 a month for his storage unit, and I just missed the tax deadline yesterday because I didn't remember that it's a $200 late fee. See, how many things does that happen to us? This will not happen to you anymore if you practice Tidy Tutor University. All right, so I'm going to sign out now. I will be able to download this thread. So if there's any questions I didn't answer, I will answer them. Okay. I'll answer them in, I guess, in an email, or I'll do a live video or something. Please remember to Facebook me. Here, I'll put it in there. I'll put in the Facebook thing. facebook.com/tidytutor. That should get you to my Facebook. It's like my personal page, right? And you could private message me there, okay? You're welcome, you're welcome. I hope this was beneficial to you. I hope you know that everything can change and it'll happen so quickly. Everything will change. All right, so I'm gonna sign out now. I love you guys too. You have no idea. Okay, bye.